Okay, so we're diving into entrepreneurship and personal branding today.
Yeah,
You brought a ton of interesting sources.
I have.
I have to admit, some of this stuff
Yeah.
really hit home for me.
Right.
That whole feeling of being invisible, especially with how fast the world's changing.
Oh, absolutely. And that feeling of invisibility, that's something that Daniel Priestley
Yeah.
talks about a lot in his work.
That makes sense.
Right. The world is like
Yeah.
rapidly shifting from the industrial age to the digital age.
Right.
And it's disrupting everything.
Right, and it feels like the old rules just don't apply anymore.
Totally.
So how do we navigate this new landscape as individuals?
Right.
How do we, stand out and make a mark and actually achieve our goals
Right.
in this new world? That's kind of what I'm hoping
Yeah.
we can unpack together.
I think that's a great goal for this deep dive.
Yeah.
And Priestley offers some really insightful frameworks for doing just that.
Okay.
One of the first things that jumped out at me. Yeah.
Was his emphasis on personal branding.
Okay.
He argues that in this digital age, a strong personal brand is absolutely essential.
It's interesting because, I think of branding
Yeah.
and I usually think about big companies.
Right.
I don't necessarily think of individuals, but Priestley, he makes a really compelling case for why personal branding is so important.
He does. And he uses some really interesting examples, too,
Yeah.
to illustrate his point.
Okay.
Think about figures like Brian Cox, Richard Branson, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Their personal brands are often even more recognizable than
Yeah.
the institutions that they represent.
That's so true. Like you say Elon Musk,
Right.
and people immediately think of innovation, space travel, electric cars.
Yeah.
It's not just Tesla or SpaceX anymore. It's him
Exactly.
as an individual.
And that's such a powerful position to be in.
Yeah.
Especially in a world where we're constantly bombarded with information and choices.
Yeah. A strong personal brand helps you cut through the noise and attract the attention that you need.
Okay, so I get that personal branding is important.
Right.
But how do you actually build a strong personal brand?
Right.
Especially when it feels like everybody's trying to do the same thing online.
That's where Priestley's insights become really practical.
Okay.
He talks about the importance of building parasocial relationships.
Okay.
That feeling of knowing someone you've only interacted with online.
Okay.
And he gives a really concrete framework for doing this called the 7-11-4 rule.
The 7-11-4 rule. What is that?
It's a simple but powerful idea.
Okay.
Priestley says it takes, on average, 7 hours of content, 11 interactions across 4 platforms for someone to truly remember you.
Wow. That's really specific.
It is.
So it's not just about posting a bunch of random stuff online.
Right.
It's about being really strategic
Exactly.
and intentional with your content and your interactions.
It is. And that's where I think this rule becomes actionable for you, the listener.
Right.
It's about thinking about which 4 platforms are most relevant to your audience.
Right.
And then figuring out how you can create valuable content and interactions that'll make a lasting impression.
This is making me rethink my entire social media strategy. I've kind of been all over the place.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing how I can be more
Right.
focused and intentional.
It's about quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And really understanding your audience and what resonates with them.
Okay, so we've got this foundation
Yeah.
of personal branding and building these parasocial relationships.
Right.
But the internet is a crowded place.
It is.
How do you actually stand out from the crowd and capture people's attention?
Well, Priestley talks about 5 key elements that cut through the clutter online.
Okay.
Scary, strange, sexy, free, and familiar.
Okay, break those down for me.
Sure.
How do you make something scary or strange?
Right.
In a way that actually attracts people?
It's all about understanding human psychology.
Okay.
So scary content taps into our natural fear of missing out.
Yeah.
It creates that sense of urgency and makes people want to pay attention.
Okay.
Think about headlines like, the one thing you're doing that's killing your business.
Oh, yeah.
Or the biggest mistake most entrepreneurs make.
Okay, I see. So it's creating a sense of intrigue, like making people feel like they need to know more.
Exactly.
What about strange?
Strange content stands out because it's unexpected, unconventional.
Yeah.
It disrupts our normal patterns of thinking.
Okay.
Makes us pay attention.
Okay.
So think about brands that use humor or absurdity in their marketing.
Right.
They're not afraid to be different.
Yeah.
To challenge the status quo.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right.
What about sexy? I'm assuming that has to do with more like the visual appeal than anything else.
Often, yes. But it's not always about being overtly provocative.
Right.
Sexy content can also just be about being alluring,
Okay.
captivating, drawing people in.
Okay.
It's about creating content that people want to share and talk about.
So like creating a sense of
Yeah.
desire and fascination.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm following you so far.
Cool.
What about free? How does that work
Right.
in the context of building a personal brand?
Well, free is incredibly powerful,
Okay.
especially online.
Yeah.
Think about all the valuable content that's available for free.
Right.
Articles, podcasts, videos.
Yeah.
It's a way to build trust
Yeah.
and familiarity with your audience without asking for anything in return.
Like this very deep dive.
Exactly.
We're giving you all this valuable information for free.
Right.
It's a way for us to build a relationship with our listeners and establish ourselves as like a source of knowledge and insights.
Exactly. And it's a smart strategy for anyone building a personal brand. You know, by offering valuable content for free, you're demonstrating your expertise, you're building trust, and you're attracting people who are interested in what you have to say.
That's a really good point.
Right.
It's not always about the hard sell.
It's not.
Sometimes it's about providing value up front
Right.
and letting people get to know you.
Absolutely.
What about familiar? How does that fit into all of this?
Well, familiar content connects with people on an emotional level.
Okay.
It taps into shared experiences, values, aspirations.
Yeah.
It's about making people feel like they know you,
Right.
like you're someone they can relate to and trust.
So creating a sense of connection
Yeah,
and authenticity.
totally.
Okay, so I can see how all these elements work together
Yeah.
to create a really powerful
Right.
and memorable personal brand.
Yeah.
But it also seems like a lot to think about.
It is.
Where do you even begin?
That's a great question, and I think it's something that we'll explore in more detail as we go deeper into these sources.
Okay.
But I think one of the most important takeaways is this.
Yeah.
You don't have to be everything to everyone.
Oh, that's reassuring.
Right.
I was starting to feel overwhelmed just thinking about trying to be scary
Yeah.
and strange and sexy and free and familiar.
You don't have to be all of those things.
Oh.
The key is to choose the elements that resonate most with you and your target audience.
Right.
You know, what are your unique strengths and values?
Yeah.
What kind of message do you want to convey?
Yeah.
Once you have a clear understanding of those things,
Yeah.
you can start to build a personal brand that feels really authentic and compelling.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
It's about being strategic, but also staying true to yourself.
absolutely. And I think that's one of the most important things to remember as we navigate this new digital landscape.
All right, so we've got personal branding.
Yeah.
We've got the 5 elements
Right.
that make you stand out.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, one of the things that really struck me
Yeah.
was Priestley's emphasis on the importance of testing and prototyping in the digital world.
Okay.
He argues that we have this incredible advantage today.
Yeah.
We can get our ideas out there quickly and inexpensively,
Right.
and then use data and feedback
Yeah.
to refine our approach.
That's so true.
It's like,
It's like the digital world is a giant laboratory
it is.
where we can experiment and iterate
Yeah.
much faster than we ever could before.
Exactly. And he gives some really compelling examples
Yeah.
of how people are using this to their advantage.
Okay.
One that stood out to me was this idea of productizing a demo.
Productizing a demo.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I follow.
So it's a fascinating concept.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on building a finished product
Yeah.
and then trying to sell it,
Yeah.
you flip the script,
Okay.
you create a compelling demo or presentation
Yeah.
that showcases your idea and the value it offers.
Right.
And then you actually sell that demo as a product.
Wow, that's interesting.
Right.
So it's almost like selling the potential
Yeah,
before you've even built the actual thing.
exactly.
Okay.
And it's a brilliant way to validate your idea
Yeah.
and get valuable feedback from potential customers
Yeah.
before you invest a lot of time and resources into building something that they might not actually want.
It's also a great way to generate revenue early on,
It is.
which can then be used to fund
Yeah.
the development of the full product.
Right.
I'm seeing how this could be a game changer
Right.
for entrepreneurs who are just starting out
Totally.
and, maybe don't have a lot of capital.
It is. And it's just one example
Yeah.
of how we can leverage the tools and technologies available to us in this digital age
Right.
to create new opportunities and accelerate our success.
It's so inspiring to see how people are using these tools
Right.
in creative and innovative ways.
It is.
What other examples did Priestley share?
Well, he talks about using Facebook ads
Yeah.
to test different book titles.
Okay.
So you can run ads with various titles,
Okay.
see which ones get the most clicks.
Okay.
It's a way to gauge interest and refine your messaging before you even start writing.
That's brilliant.
It's like...
I never would have thought of that.
Right.
It's like market research in real time.
It is. It is.
Okay, what other examples stood out to you?
He also mentions using intro events on Zoom, creating discussion groups on WhatsApp, and even using quizzes to assess needs and qualify leads.
I love that idea of using quizzes.
Yeah.
It's a fun and engaging way to like interact with your audience and gather valuable data about their interests and needs.
Yeah.
And those WhatsApp groups, I'm part of a few.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how quickly they can build a sense of community.
It is. It's a testament to the power of these digital platforms to connect people.
Right.
And facilitate meaningful interactions.
Yeah. And it highlights another important point that Priestley makes.
Yeah.
We need to be willing to experiment
and
try new things.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
What works for one person might not work for another.
Right.
So it's important to find the tools and tactics that resonate most with you and your target audience.
It's easy to get caught up in what everyone else is doing.
It is.
But ultimately, we need to find our own path.
You do.
So we've got personal branding.
Yeah.
We've got testing and prototyping.
Right.
We've got these new digital tools at our disposal.
Right.
But what about the big picture?
Yeah.
How do we find a business idea that really resonates?
That's where Priestley's concept of the entrepreneur's sweet spot comes in.
Okay, I'm all ears.
All right.
What's the entrepreneur's sweet spot?
He says it's the intersection of three things.
Okay.
Passion.
Okay.
Solving a problem that people value.
Okay.
And getting paid well.
That makes so much sense.
It does. It's about finding that perfect alignment.
Right.
Where you're doing something that you love.
Yeah.
You're making a real difference in the world.
Yeah.
And you're getting rewarded for your efforts.
Exactly. And he shares this really inspiring story about a doctor who left the NHS to become a successful YouTuber.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this doctor turned YouTuber.
It was a pretty radical career change.
It was.
But it was also a perfect example of someone finding their sweet spot.
Yeah.
You know, this doctor was passionate about health and wellness.
Yeah.
And he saw a huge opportunity to use YouTube to reach a wider audience and share his knowledge in a more engaging and accessible way.
So he was able to leverage his existing skills and knowledge.
He was.
To create this whole new career path for himself.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Have you ever felt stuck in like a bell curve career?
I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling, especially in today's rapidly changing world.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's why Priestley's message about finding your sweet spot and embracing those power law opportunities is so relevant. He encourages us to look beyond those traditional limitations and explore the possibilities that exist outside of the conventional structures.
That's so empowering.
It is.
But I think a lot of people, myself included, struggle with actually identifying those power law opportunities.
It's tough.
Like, how do you even begin to see them when you've been so conditioned to think within the confines of the bell curve?
That's a great question, and it's something that we'll delve into deeper as we continue this deep dive. But I think one of the most important things is to start by shifting our perspective, to look beyond the limitations that we've imposed on ourselves, and to embrace the possibility that there's a whole world of opportunity out there just waiting to be discovered.
I love that. It's about challenging our assumptions.
Yes.
And opening ourselves up to new possibilities.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got personal branding, we've got testing,
Yeah.
finding our sweet spot,
Yeah.
shifting our perspective. What else did Priestley have to say about navigating this new digital world?
Well, one of the things he talks about is the diminishing role of geography. In the past, your location often dictated your opportunities. But in the digital age, those limitations are starting to fade away.
That's so true. I mean, I'm constantly connecting with people from all over the world online.
Yeah.
It feels like the boundaries are blurring.
They are.
And location is becoming less and less of a barrier.
Exactly. And this opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
It does.
You know, you can connect with markets and talent globally, regardless of where you're physically located.
That's incredibly exciting.
It is.
It's like the world is becoming our oyster. But Priestley also mentioned something about the importance of choosing the right business environment.
He did. And I think that's an important nuance to consider.
Okay.
While geography may matter less in terms of connecting with people and accessing information, it can still play a role in things like tax policies, access to capital, and the overall entrepreneurial culture of a particular location.
So it's about finding the right ecosystem.
It is.
For your business and your goals.
Yeah.
It's not just about being able to work from anywhere.
Right.
It's about finding a place that supports your growth and your vision.
Precisely. And I think this is something that's particularly relevant for entrepreneurs who are looking to scale their businesses and make a real impact.
That's a great point. It's about finding the right environment to nurture your ideas and bring them to life.
It is. And I think this ties into another important concept that Priestley emphasizes, the power of leverage.
Leverage. Tell me more about that.
Okay. So he talks about seeking out opportunities that offer exponential growth through leverage.
Okay.
This could be leverage through fame, capital, data networks, or even technology.
I'm starting to see how all of these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
You build a strong personal brand.
Yeah.
You connect with the right people.
Yeah.
You find an environment that supports your growth.
Yeah.
And then you leverage those assets.
You do.
To scale your impact and achieve your goals.
Exactly. And it's a framework that can be applied to any field or industry. It's not just about starting a business.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how to navigate this new world and create the life you want.
I'm loving this.
Good.
It's so insightful and empowering.
Yeah.
It feels like we're really starting to crack the code of success in the digital age.
I think so.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
But there's one big topic that I know we need to address.
AI.
Yes. It feels like everyone is talking about AI these days.
Everyone is.
And it's hard to know what to believe or how to even begin to understand it.
Yeah.
What did Priestley have to say about AI?
A lot.
Right.
He argues that AI is the new electricity.
Okay.
It's going to transform everything, just like electricity did a century ago.
Okay, so AI is a big deal. I'm getting that.
It is.
But it also feels very overwhelming and complex.
Yeah.
I'm not a tech person, so how am I supposed to even wrap my head around AI, let alone figure out how to leverage it?
That's a common concern.
Yeah.
And Priestley addresses it directly.
Okay.
He argues that we don't all need to become coders or AI experts.
Okay.
The key is to understand the potential of AI.
Right.
And to start thinking about how it can be applied to solve problems and create value in your specific field or industry.
So it's about seeing the big picture.
It is.
And then finding the right people to collaborate with.
Exactly. And he highlights some really exciting developments that are making AI more accessible than ever before.
Okay.
For example, he talks about NVIDIA's $3,000 supercomputer, which is putting advanced AI capabilities within reach of smaller teams and startups.
That's incredible. So you don't need massive resources to start experimenting and innovating with AI.
You don't. And this is just the beginning.
Wow.
As AI continues to evolve, it's going to open up even more opportunities for entrepreneurs, creators, and innovators of all kinds.
This is so exciting.
It is.
It feels like we're on the cusp of something truly revolutionary.
It does feel that way.
But it's also a lot to take in.
It is.
What's the key takeaway?
Yeah.
For someone like me who's not a tech expert, but wants to be prepared for this AI-powered future.
I think Priestley's advice is spot on. Start learning now.
Okay.
Even if you don't understand all the technical details. Start familiarizing yourself with the basic concepts of AI.
Okay.
Read articles, watch videos, attend webinars.
That's a great suggestion. It's about taking small steps.
It is.
And building our knowledge base.
Exactly. And as you learn more, start thinking about how AI could be applied to solve problems in your industry or to create new opportunities that haven't even been imagined yet.
This is making me rethink everything I thought I knew.
It is.
About the future of work.
It is a game changer.
It feels like we're on the verge of a massive shift.
We are, and I think it's an incredibly exciting time to be alive.
Yeah.
The possibilities are truly limitless.
I couldn't agree more.
Good.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about personal branding, testing, finding our sweet spot, the power of leverage, the diminishing role of geography, and the rise of AI.
Yes.
What else did Priestley have to say about navigating this new world and achieving success?
One of the most important things he talks about is the power of our environment.
Okay.
He argues that our environment dictates our performance.
So it's not just about our individual efforts. It's also about
It's about the people.
the people and the spaces we surround ourselves with.
The spaces we show up in.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you're surrounded by people who are negative, cynical, resistant to change, it's going to be very difficult to break free from that mindset and achieve your full potential.
That makes perfect sense. It's like that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Exactly. So if you want to succeed in this new world, you need to be intentional about the people and the environments that you surround yourself with.
So how do we go about changing our environment? It feels like such a big, daunting task.
It can be.
Where do you even begin?
Well, Priestley offers some really practical suggestions that you can start implementing immediately. One of the simplest is to physically go to a high place. The top floor of a building, a mountaintop, even just standing on a chair.
That's interesting. I'm curious to hear more about why that's so important.
He argues that physically elevating ourselves can actually shift our perspective and help us see the world in a new way. It's about getting out of our routine, breaking free from the limitations of our everyday environment, and opening ourselves up to new possibilities.
That's a really cool idea. I'm definitely going to try that. What other suggestions did he have?
He also suggests meeting with someone who is further along in their journey than you are, someone who is already living the life you want to live.
That's a great idea. It's like getting a glimpse into the future.
It is.
Seeing what's possible.
It is.
It's also a great way to get advice and support from someone who's been there and done that.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be someone, personally. It could be someone you admire from afar. Reach out to them, ask for a quick chat, or even just follow them online and learn from their example.
I'm starting to see how all these small changes can add up to a big shift in our mindset and our environment.
They can.
What other suggestions did Priestley share?
He also talks about enrolling in a course, joining a community, or attending events that are aligned with your interests and goals.
I love that idea of surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
It is powerful.
It's so much easier to stay motivated and inspired when you're part of a community that supports your growth.
Absolutely. And those communities can be found both online and offline. Join a Facebook group, attend a local meetup, or even just start conversations with people who are interested in the same things you are.
So it's about taking action.
It is.
And actively creating the environment we want to be in. I'm really starting to see how this is all connected.
It is all connected, host. As we move into this next set of materials, I keep thinking about something you said earlier, about feeling overwhelmed by the idea of needing to be scary, strange, sexy, free, and familiar all at once.
Oh, absolutely. It was a lot to take in. But you helped me to see that it's not about trying to be everything to everyone. It's about choosing the elements that resonate the most with me and my audience.
Exactly. And that brings us to another key concept that Priestley highlights the importance of moving from a skilled labor mindset to an intellectual property mindset.
Okay, break that down for me. What's the difference between those two mindsets?
It's a fundamental shift in how you view your value and your potential with a skilled labor mindset. You're essentially trading your time for money. You have a skill, you perform a service, and you get paid for your hours.
I think that's how most of us are conditioned to think about work, especially if we've come from traditional job environments.
Absolutely. But Priestley argues that in the digital age, this mindset can be really limiting.
It keeps you stuck in this cycle of trading time for money, and it doesn't allow you to fully leverage your knowledge and your experience.
So what does an intellectual property mindset look like?
It's about shifting from selling your time to selling your ideas. Instead of thinking, I'm a great writer, I can get a job writing blog posts. You start thinking, I have valuable insights about writing. I can create a course or write a book about it.
Ah, I see. So it's about packaging your knowledge and your expertise into a product that can be sold again and again.
Exactly.
That's so much more scalable than just trading hours for dollars.
It is. And Priestley uses a great example to illustrate this point. Stephen Covey, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh, yeah.
Covey wasn't some superhuman genius. He was a consultant who reflected on his experiences, identified patterns, and turned those insights into a book that sold millions of copies.
That's such a great example.
Right.
It shows that you don't need to be like a world-renowned expert.
You don't to create valuable intellectual property. You just need to be able to articulate your knowledge in a way that's helpful to others.
Exactly.
But how do you go about actually turning your ideas into products or services?
That's where things like online courses, ebooks, membership sites, and even coaching programs come into play.
Yeah.
The digital world provides so many platforms for sharing your knowledge and creating products that can reach a global audience.
This is making me think about like all the skills and knowledge that I've acquired over the years, but never really thought of as anything more than just skills and knowledge.
Right.
What if I could package those things into something that could actually help other people?
You can.
And generate income.
That's the beauty of the intellectual property mindset. It challenges us to see our experiences and expertise in a new light, to recognize the value that we possess,
right,
and to find creative ways to share that value with the world.
This is really exciting. I'm starting to see how this shift in mindset could open up a whole new world of possibilities.
It can, and Priestley emphasizes that once you have that intellectual property, the next step is to combine it with media.
Okay.
To reach a wider audience. This is where things like podcasting, YouTube, blogging, and social media become so powerful.
Right. It's about using those platforms to share your ideas, build a community, and establish yourself as like a thought leader in your space.
Exactly. And as you build that audience, you start to gather data, email addresses, survey responses, feedback on your content.
Right.
This data becomes an incredibly valuable asset in itself.
It's almost like a feedback loop. The more content you create and share, the more data you collect, the more you learn about your audience.
Right.
The better you can tailor your products and services to meet their needs.
You got it. And that data can then be used to create software or automated systems that scale your impact even further.
Okay.
It's a progression from skilled labor to intellectual property to media to data to software.
Wow. It's amazing to see how all these pieces fit together, and it's a reminder that success in the digital age isn't just about having like a great idea. It's about understanding how to leverage all of these different elements.
It is.
To create like a sustainable and scalable business.
That's such a great point, and Priestley goes on to talk about how each step in this process is essentially a form of pitching. Whether you're pitching a customer or even your audience through a piece of content.
Right.
It's about being able to communicate your value effectively.
He makes a distinction between being an influencer and a key person of influence.
He does.
What's the difference in his view? Because it seems like everyone and their dog is trying to be an influencer these days.
He argues that influencers often focus on self-promotion and building a large following.
Okay.
But they struggle to actually sell anything.
Okay.
Key people of influence, on the other hand, focus on promoting ideas and solving problems within a specific niche.
Right.
They may not have millions of followers,
right,
but they have a loyal audience that trusts their expertise.
So it's about building genuine authority and credibility within a specific area rather than just chasing superficial popularity.
Exactly. And I think that's something that's really important to keep in mind.
Yeah.
As we navigate the often overwhelming world of social media, it's easy to get caught up in the numbers game.
Yeah.
But true influence is built on trust and value, not just follower count.
He outlines a framework called the 5 Ps for becoming a key person of influence.
Yeah.
Pitching, publishing, productization profile, and partnerships.
Let's unpack those.
Yeah.
Pitching, as we've discussed, is about being able to articulate your value clearly and persuasively.
Okay.
Publishing is about creating and sharing valuable content that attracts your target audience.
Right.
Productization is about packaging your knowledge and expertise into products or services that can be scaled.
Okay.
Profile is about building your visibility and reputation through social media speaking, engagements, awards, and other forms of recognition.
Okay.
And partnerships are about collaborating with others to amplify your reach and impact.
It seems like collaboration is like a key theme.
It is.
Throughout Priestley's work.
Absolutely. And I think it's a really important one in a world where everyone is competing for attention.
Right.
It can be easy to fall into a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
But Priestley argues that collaboration is actually a key to success in the digital age.
I'm curious about that. How does collaboration lead to success when it feels like everyone is trying to stand out on their own?
By sharing your knowledge and resources, you not only help others, but you also position yourself as a valuable collaborator. It's a move away from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
I see.
Think about it like this. A rising tide lifts all boats.
I love that analogy.
Right.
That makes so much sense.
In the context of the digital world, that tide is rising faster than ever before.
Right.
There are so many opportunities for collaboration, for creating shared value, for building something bigger than yourself.
He also talks about the importance of embracing the messy middle.
He does.
What do you mean by that?
It's about recognizing that the entrepreneurial journey is rarely linear or predictable.
Okay.
There are going to be ups and downs, setbacks and breakthroughs.
Yeah.
And it's in that messy middle, that unpredictable space between having an idea and achieving success.
Right.
That the real growth and learning happen.
So it's about being comfortable with uncertainty.
It is.
And embracing the challenges that come with pursuing something new and ambitious.
Exactly. It's about letting go of the need to have everything figured out.
Right.
And being willing to experiment, iterate, and learn along the way.
That's a really important reminder. I think a lot of people get discouraged when things don't go perfectly according to plan.
They do.
But the truth is that, like, the most successful people are often the ones who are the most comfortable with failure and setbacks.
Right.
They see those challenges as opportunities to learn and grow.
You hit the nail on the head. It's all about mindset.
He also talks about this idea of doubling speeds.
Yes.
What's that all about?
It's a fascinating concept. He encourages entrepreneurs to focus on finding the activities that lead to exponential growth.
Okay.
And repeating them consistently.
So it's not about working harder.
It's not.
It's about working smarter.
Exactly. It's about identifying the key levers that drive growth in your business.
Okay.
And then finding ways to double down on those activities.
He uses the analogy of a chessboard.
He does.
Where each doubling of grains of rice on each square eclipses all the previous scores combined.
Yeah.
It's a powerful visual.
It is.
That highlights the power of compounding.
It does. And it's a reminder that even small, consistent actions can lead to massive results over time.
He also stresses the importance of finding joy in the process. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. If you don't love what you're doing, it's going to be very difficult to sustain that level of consistency and commitment.
It is.
Over long term.
Absolutely. And I think this is something that's often overlooked, especially in the fast-paced world of entrepreneurship. We get so focused on achieving our goal that we forget to enjoy the journey.
He brought up a fascinating point about how the most successful people and businesses often focus on repetition. They find something that works.
They do.
And they do it over and over again, refining it along the way.
He gave some good examples.
He did.
WD-40, which was the 40th attempt to create a specific type of spray. Tabasco sauce, which has been around for over 150 years. The Fender Stratocaster guitar. The Porsche 911. These are all iconic products.
They are.
That have stood the test of time. Because they found a formula that works, and they've stuck with it, refining it over time.
It's a reminder that innovation isn't always about coming up with something completely new.
No.
It's often about finding ways to improve upon existing ideas and executing them consistently.
Exactly. And I think that's a really empowering message.
It is.
Especially for people who feel like they need to reinvent the wheel to be successful. Sometimes the most effective approach is to take something that's already working. And make it even better.
He also mentioned the importance of writing a book.
He did.
And he wasn't talking about it from like a purely commercial perspective.
He argued that a book allows you to share your ideas in a deep and meaningful way. Connecting with readers on an intellectual and emotional level.
It's like creating a shared experience, inviting your audience into your world and your way of thinking.
Exactly. And that can be incredibly powerful for building trust and authority. Which, as we've discussed, are essential for becoming a key person of influence.
He then shifted gears a bit and shared some frameworks for sales.
He did.
Which I know is a topic that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. One that stood out to me was this idea of productizing your sales process by packaging your demo and customer needs analysis into a dedicated offering with a name and a landing page.
It's about reframing it as a valuable resource rather than a sales pitch.
And it plays into that idea of providing value up front.
It does.
Which can be so effective in building trust and credibility.
Absolutely.
He also talked about the importance of understanding the messy middle of the customer journey. It seems like things have changed a lot since the days of the traditional marketing funnel.
They have.
Where you just like push people through this linear process.
Well, customers have way more control than ever before. They bounce around, they explore different options, and they engage with your brand on their own terms.
It's about creating like a playground.
It is.
Of valuable experiences
Yeah.
that allow customers to explore your brand and discover the solutions that they need.
And it's about meeting them where they are in their journey.
Right.
Rather than trying to force them down a specific path.
He talked about the importance of understanding the situational model of your ideal customer.
It's about understanding where they are now.
Okay.
Where they want to be.
Right.
What's in their way. And what they perceive as the path of least resistance.
By getting really clear on their needs and challenges, you can position yourself as like the solution they've been searching for.
It's about understanding their motivations.
Right.
And then creating a customer journey that feels effortless and empowering.
He shared some interesting insights about pricing.
He did.
He suggested asking potential customers what price would be so low that it would make them question the quality, and what price would be so high that they could no longer afford it.
It's a brilliant way to get inside your customers' heads,
right?
And understand their perception of value.
It also helps you to establish like a pricing strategy that's both attractive to your target market.
It does.
And reflects the value that you provide.
Right. And he also stressed the importance of data and testing.
Yeah.
Encouraging entrepreneurs to run experiments, collect data, and make decisions based on evidence rather than assumptions.
So being data-driven in your approach.
Exactly. It's so easy to get caught up in our own assumptions about what will work.
Yeah.
But the data often tells a different story.
He highlighted the power of Facebook ads.
He did.
For testing different ideas and messages.
Yeah.
Measuring click-through rates and refining your approach based on the data.
Right. He also mentioned other valuable tactics like running intro events on Zoom, creating discussion groups on WhatsApp or Facebook, and using quizzes or assessments to diagnose needs and qualify leads.
These are all great examples of how you can leverage digital tools to connect with your audience.
Right.
Gather feedback and validate your ideas.
They are. And he made a really interesting point about segmenting your audience and focusing on the top 10%, who typically account for 60% of the available budget.
It makes sense from like a business perspective.
It does.
But it also raises some ethical questions, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, is it fair to prioritize one segment of your audience over another?
That's a valid point, and it's something that I think each entrepreneur has to grapple with based on their own values and their own goals.
Right.
You know, there's no easy answer.
Right.
And I think it's a reminder that business decisions often have ethical implications that we need to be mindful of.
Right.
But from a purely strategic standpoint, focusing on your most profitable segment can allow you to maximize your impact and accelerate your growth.
That ties back to the idea of leverage.
It does.
By being strategic about where you focus your time and energy, you can achieve greater results.
He then shifted gears and offered a fascinating perspective on the role of wealth creators in the economy. He argued that wealth creators don't simply take money out of the economy. They create new wealth by building businesses and innovating.
It's a really interesting point. We often hear about the widening gap between the rich and the poor.
We do.
But we don't always talk about the role that wealth creators play in driving economic growth and creating opportunities for everyone.
Exactly. And he contrasts wealth creators with what he calls rent seekers, who extract value from the economy without creating anything new.
He used the example of his own software startup, BookMagic.
He did.
Which raised £400,000 for 10% of the company. Creating £3.6 million worth of new value that didn't exist before.
It's a powerful example of how entrepreneurship can drive economic growth and create a ripple effect that benefits everyone.
But he also acknowledged that there are wealthy people who hoard resources. And don't contribute to the economy in a meaningful way.
He did. He emphasized the need for nuance in understanding the role of wealth and the different ways that people create and contribute value.
It's a reminder that these are complex issues.
They are.
And we need to be careful about making generalizations or oversimplifications.
He encouraged listeners to think critically about these issues and to challenge their assumptions about wealth and the economy.
It's a call to engage in thoughtful dialogue and to develop a more nuanced understanding of these complex topics.
Absolutely. Then he shifted to a discussion about geography and its role in success. He argued that geography matters less than it used to thanks to the rise of the digital world.
He pointed out that entrepreneurs can now connect with markets and talent globally,
They can.
regardless of location.
He used the example of his own team,
Okay.
where some of the most talented individuals he's hired now live in Dubai.
Wow. It's a reminder that the traditional barriers to entry are crumbling
They are?
and that talent and opportunity are no longer confined to specific geographic locations.
That's right. And it's a really exciting development.
Yeah.
Especially for people who live in areas where opportunities have historically been limited.
But he also cautioned that choosing the right business environment is still important.
It is. It's about finding an ecosystem
Yeah.
that supports your goals and values. He highlighted the importance of considering factors like tax policies, access to capital, and the overall entrepreneurial culture of a particular location.
So it's not just about being able to work from anywhere. It's about finding a place
Right.
that aligns with your vision and supports your growth.
Exactly. And I think this is something that's often overlooked, especially in the excitement of being able to work remotely.
He made a strong case for the importance of creating environments that are conducive to business growth.
He did.
And personal fulfillment.
He's a strong advocate for policies that encourage investment entrepreneurship and the development of new technologies.
I can definitely see his passion for creating a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
He also shared some insightful thoughts about work-life balance and the importance of creating space for reflection and renewal.
Okay.
He admitted that he had no balance for many years, but he's learned the importance of slowing down to speed up.
That resonates with me. I think a lot of us get caught up in like the hustle and grind, and we forget to take care of ourselves and create space for like rest and rejuvenation.
Yeah.
But I think it's becoming increasingly clear that burnout is a real problem.
It is.
And we need to find more sustainable ways of working and living.
We do. And he shared how filling his diary too full caused him to miss out on some of the biggest opportunities.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most productive thing you can do is step back, recharge, and allow new ideas and opportunities to emerge.
Absolutely. He also emphasized the importance of identifying power law opportunities, those that offer exponential growth potential, and moving away from bell curve opportunities, which have limited upside.
It's about thinking bigger and aiming for those opportunities that have the potential to create massive impact.
And it's about being willing to step outside of our comfort zones to pursue those opportunities.
He talked about how we often limit ourselves by staying within the confines of familiar systems and structures. He encouraged listeners to challenge those limitations and embrace the possibilities of a world where the rules are constantly being rewritten.
It's about having the courage to forge our own paths and create the future that we want, rather than settling for the status quo.
He then delved deeper into the concept of AI, arguing that it's the biggest opportunity of our lifetime.
He compares it to the advent of electricity, which took a century to fully transform society.
Wow.
He believes we're in the early stages of the AI revolution, and he urged listeners to start learning and experimenting now.
It's about getting ahead of the curve and positioning ourselves to thrive in this AI-powered future.
Exactly. He highlighted NVIDIA's $3,000 supercomputer as a game changer, making advanced AI accessible to smaller teams and startups.
It's incredible to think that we now have the tools to leverage AI without needing massive resources or technical expertise.
I mean, it's amazing he encouraged listeners to think creatively about how AI can be applied to solve problems in their industries, and to connect with technical talent to build those solutions.
But being proactive and finding ways to integrate AI into our businesses and our lives rather than waiting for it to disrupt us.
Exactly. He even offered advice for non-technical people, suggesting they identify problems that need to be solved and partner with those who have the technical skills to develop AI-powered solutions.
It's a reminder that you don't need to be a coder to capitalize on the AI revolution.
You don't.
You just need to be able to see the potential and find the right collaborators.
He then wrapped up with a powerful point about the importance of environment. He argued that our environment dictates our performance.
So we behave according to the environments we show up in.
If you're surrounded by people who are negative, cynical, and resistant to change, it's going to be very difficult to break free from that mindset and achieve your full potential.
So it's not just about changing like our internal environment, our mindset and beliefs, but also our external environment. It's the people and the spaces that we surround ourselves with.
Exactly. And he offered some practical suggestions for changing your environment immediately.
I'm all ears.
One suggestion was going to a high place.
Okay.
The top floor of a building, a mountaintop.
Yeah.
Even just standing on a chair.
I love that idea.
It's about shifting our perspective, both literally and figuratively.
He also suggested meeting with someone who is further along in their journey.
Yes.
Enrolling in a course.
Yep.
Or joining a community.
These are all great ways to expose ourselves to new ideas.
Right.
New ways of thinking and new possibilities.
He emphasized the importance of being intentional about the environments we create for ourselves.
He did.
Both physically and mentally.
It's about taking ownership of our surroundings and creating a space that supports our growth and success.
He also encouraged listeners to connect with each other.
He did.
To build a community of like-minded individuals who can support each other on this journey.
He suggested that listeners leave a waving emoji in the comments and reach out to each other to start conversations and build relationships.
It's a powerful reminder that we're not alone in this, and that by connecting with others, we can create a more supportive and empowering environment for everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He closed with a really powerful thought.
Okay.
Learn to appreciate the mountain of value you're already standing on.
It's a reminder to focus on our strengths, our experiences, our networks, and leverage those assets to create the life we want.
It's about shifting our perspective from scarcity to abundance, from limitation to possibility.
He encouraged us to see the world as like a playground of opportunities.
He did.
Waiting to be discovered and explored.
He reminded us that we have the power to create the future we want.
Right.
Both individually and collectively.
And that's a powerful message to carry with us as we navigate this ever-changing world. This has been such an incredible journey. So far, we've covered so much ground.
We have.
And I feel like I've gained so many valuable insights already. But I'm excited to keep exploring these ideas and see what other gems we uncover in the final part of this deep dive.
Me too. I have a feeling there are even more insights waiting to be uncovered.
You know, as we wrap up this deep dive into Daniel Priestley's work, I keep coming back to that image of the mountain of value.
Yeah.
Such a simple concept.
It is.
But it's really shifted my perspective.
It's a powerful metaphor.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't it?
It is.
It reminds us to appreciate all that we've already accomplished. And all the resources that we have at our disposal.
I think it's so easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others.
Right.
Always looking at what we lack.
Yeah.
Instead of recognizing the abundance we already have.
It's true.
Like we're so focused on climbing the next mountain that we forget to appreciate the view from the one we're already standing on.
That's such a great way to put it.
Yeah.
We're often so close to our own mountain of value that we can't even see it.
And Priestley made this interesting point about the possibility gap.
Yes.
That space between announcing our intention and actually taking action.
Yeah. That's where a lot of dreams go to die.
Yeah, stuck in that space of wanting to do something but never quite getting started.
He shared that story about his girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Who kept talking about making Instagram videos.
Right.
But never actually doing it.
Right. She was stuck in that possibility gap.
She was, letting fear and perfectionism hold her back.
And what was so fascinating was once she shifted her goal from making good videos to simply making 1,000 videos. She started taking action.
She did.
It's like the pressure to be perfect was paralyzing her.
Right. But when she gave herself permission to just create,
Yeah.
to experiment, to learn along the way.
Right.
She was able to break free from that paralysis.
It's a powerful reminder that done is better than perfect.
It is.
Sometimes we just need to get out of our own way and start creating.
And Priestley emphasized something else that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
The importance of finding the right balance between optimization and pleasure.
Right. Right.
He talked about his own experience of receiving this concerning health diagnosis, which prompted him to reevaluate his priorities and focus more on self-care.
It was a wake-up call for him, reminding him that, you know, our health is our most valuable asset.
It is so easy to get caught up in the pursuit of success and achievement that we neglect our well-being.
Right. But as Priestley learned, you can't pour from an empty cup.
You can't.
You know, it's not about deprivation or self-denial.
Right.
It's about creating a sustainable lifestyle that supports both our well-being and our ambitions.
He also talked about the importance of having data not just in business, but also in our personal lives.
Okay.
He said that having data about his health actually freed him because it gave him a clearer understanding of his situation and allowed him to make more informed decisions.
like taking the guesswork out of the equation.
It is.
And giving yourself more control.
Exactly. When we have data, we can make adjustments.
Yeah.
Optimize our approach to our health and well-being.
Right.
Just like we do in our businesses.
And as he so eloquently put it, a healthy man has many goals.
He did.
A sick man has only one.
It's a stark reminder that without our health, everything else becomes secondary.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
I
think the biggest takeaway for me is the importance of perspective.
Yes.
You know, it's about recognizing the value we already possess.
Yeah.
Embracing the messy middle. Finding joy in the process. Prioritizing our well-being. Surrounding ourselves with people who support our growth.
I completely agree. It's about shifting our mindset from scarcity to abundance.
Yes.
From limitation to possibility.
Right. And having the courage to create the future that we want.
And it's a reminder that we're not alone in this journey.
Yeah.
We have each other, and we have a wealth of resources and support systems available to us.
This has been such an incredible deep dive.
It has.
Thank you for sharing your insights.
Oh, you're welcome.
And helping me connect the dots.
A pleasure.
In these materials.
I always learn so much from these conversations.
And all of you listening,
yes,
thank you for joining us on this journey.
Yes.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
We do.
That you can apply to your own life and work.
Remember, you're already standing on a mountain of value.
Yes.
Now go out there and make the most of it.